Trigger warnings, weapons, mentions of blood, slight injury. Chapter 11, Guess Monster. They looked at me funny when I was just near enough the border of Fukuoka Prefecture. Suna complains at the other end of the line. Atsumu snorts and drops onto his bed. He's in his rented apartment above Shirabu and Semi, phone pressed against his ear and back melting into the mattress. That's 'cause you look funny, Rin. The fuck is that supposed to mean? Atsumu can't suppress a grin. He can practically see Rintaro grimace. Yeah, suspicious. I look like a normal guy. Aha, Atsumu hums, rolling onto his stomach. A moron with a 2-meter bow. Totally normal. Without my bow, you idiot. Suna shuffles around. Unlike you, I know how to move inconspicuously. Unlike me, yeah, presence screams trouble. Yeah, Rin huffs. 'Cause blonde hair, a too loud mouth, and an obnoxious and smug behavior don't exactly scream trouble. Alright. Shut up, Sunarin. Atsumu clicks his tongue and rolls his eyes. We both know how much you love me. I despise you. MHH, Atsumu hums and plays with the moon charm of his necklace. I love you, too. Ever since Atsumu left in Irizuki once again, Suna has been prowling around the borders of Fukuoka Prefecture, searching diligently for any hint of Osamu's whereabouts. From what they have learned so far, they know he must be somewhere within Terashima's proximity, yet the precise location remained a puzzle. The chances are high that Osamu is in Deisho's territory, Fukuoka Prefecture. Terashima is his right-hand man, and no one dares to even step foot in Deisho's districts without his permission. So, it serves as a golden opportunity to keep Atsumu's brother hidden right under their noses. What's still unclear is whether Deisho knows about Terashima running around with Osamu, or worse, whether he's even responsible for that. Terashima's motives remain mysterious. Is he acting on his own and hatching schemes against his Kumicho, or do they share the responsibility for Osamu's disappearance? Atsumu can wait to figure this out until his brother has returned safely. For now, the only thing that matters is finding Osamu and getting him out of wherever he is. No, but seriously. Atsumu stares at the dance of dust particles swirling in the air, bathed in the gentle embrace of solitary sunbeams as the sun begins to set. Watch out, Rin. Okay. Shouldn't I say that to you instead? Atsumu frowns. I'm fine. I'm not. But it doesn't matter. Suna sighs. Anything I need to know? Of course, he'd notice. Not here. Atsumu shakes his head as if he could see him. He swallows. Not on the phone. Okay. Suna says in hushed tones, then takes a deep breath and repeats in a firmer voice. Okay. Rin? Atsumu's heartbeat is loud. Yeah. It's like he's falling, and falling and falling and falling. Endlessly. He wants to get rid of that feeling. I might have screwed up. Atsumu scrubs a hand over his face, covering his eyes and trying to ignore the throb of his heart. It's getting worse. Everything crumbles. It's too overwhelming. He can't do anything right. Suna remains quiet for several seconds and Atsumu realizes he must be pondering about his words. He wants to elaborate, to make it clear that it's not the hunt for Osamu or even himself that's in danger. But Atsumu doesn't have to because Suna has already caught on. Of course, he has. Whatever you do, watch out. Are you alright? Suna asks, skeptical. Yeah. Atsumu clears his throat. Yeah, sure. No, I'm not. I'm not supposed to feel this way for him. I'm not supposed to feel anything for him. I fucked up, Rin. I fucked up big time. Suna sighs again. Let's find Samu as fast as possible and return to Inarizuki. There's some more rustling. The noises sound like he's getting up. We'll sort things out when we're all back together again. Yeah, Atsumu breathes, his frown deepening. Yeah, you're right. I can't let Osamu know about this. Kyumi can't find out either. Atsumu? He rips Atsumu out of his thoughts. Atsumu can feel him frowning. Hang in there, Suna says after a while and Atsumu's grip on his phone tightens with Rin's words. You're not alone, okay? I'm here. Atsumu presses his lips into a thin line. Then, he releases a shaky breath. He knows Suna would always have his back but this is something Atsumu needs to deal with on his own. Yeah, he whispers because he can't trust his voice. Thanks, Sunarin. You're gonna be fine. I wish. As usual, Atsumu enters Oikawa's office fashionably late. Absorbed in his thoughts, he opens the door and avoids the gazes of the others. He's caught up in his head, pondering about his current situation. It's odd, really, strange how much it affects him. The thought of facing SakuAtsu after everything that happened last night makes Atsumu's stomach churn. Because his feelings towards him are mixed when he shouldn't feel anything for him to begin with. Break me, he said back when their hookups first started, but never in his life did he know what that would entail. Atsumu would prefer to disappear from the world. To sink into bed and never step outside the door again. He wants to hole up, escape from all his problems and not face his responsibilities. But Atsumu is nobody who lets himself get down so easily. No, not him. So, he raises his head and is more or less ready to face the man who throws his whole life into chaos. Instead of seeing SakuAtsu, though, Atsumu is rewarded with someone who instantly puts a smile on his face. Shoyo. He laughs because what the hell is he already doing here? Shouldn't he rest for at least another month? Whatever his reasons, he manages to lift Atsumu's mood just by being present. Hinata whips his head around, his grin widening and revealing his shining teeth. Atsumu-san. He waves Atsumu over and scoots aside to make some room between himself and Bakuto. Atsumu flops down and mirrors Hinata's broad grin, relieved to see him in such a good condition. You were released from the hospital? Atsumu asks a little quieter because Oikoa is talking to one of his men. Hinata nods enthusiastically and smiles so wide he needs to close his eyes. I still have to take it easy, but so far I'm fine. Good. Atsumu sighs relieved. His smile is growing. I'm glad to hear that, Sho. Yeah. Hinata beams. I missed out on so many things. I can't wait to work with you again. Which won't happen anytime soon. Oikoa interrupts them loudly, ripping them out of their conversation. Hinata's smile fades slowly as he eyes his Kumicho, now standing in front of them with a serious expression on his face. Bakuto, noticing the sudden attention, sits up straighter, his eyes darting between Oikoa and Hinata. Oikoa sighs, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair. Chibi-chan, you're still recovering. I can't risk sending you out on a mission just yet. Your injuries were severe, and I won't have you jeopardizing your health. Hinata's shoulders slump, disappointment evident in his eyes. But I feel fine, Oikoa-san. I've been doing my rehab exercises diligently, and the doctors said I'm healing faster than expected. Oikoa's gaze softens as he leans against his desk. I know you're eager to get back out there, but I can't take any chances. Your well-being comes first. Atsumu watches the exchange, his smile turning into something pitying the longer his eyes linger on Hinata's face. He's really a good kid. He can hardly wait to get back to work and spend time side by side with his friends. The world needs more people like Hinata. Atsumu knows firsthand the frustration of being sidelined due to injury, but he also understands the importance of taking the necessary time to heal properly. And unlike other Kumichus, Oikoa is genuinely concerned that none of his men risk their lives unnecessarily. He would rather cancel missions or put them on hold before sending any of them into danger. It's remarkable, really. And it's something that hardly any leader cares about. It's like Akashi once said, Oikoa is one of the good guys. Besides, the next mission is located outside Sendai. There's no way I'm sending you there. Hinata pouts. Then who will accompany Bakuto-san? Oikoa's gaze shifts to Atsumu as he lights a cigarette. Wordlessly, he looks at him with wide expectant eyes. Atsumu's smile fades slightly, turning his attention towards Oikoa, his eyebrows furrowing in curiosity and amusement. That bastard. What kind of mission are we talking about? Atsumu asks, his voice laced with intrigue and a hint of excitement. He liked Bakuto, and from what he heard about him this mission could only be fun. Oikoa straightens up, his gaze fixed on Atsumu. There's a high-profile target in Yokohama that needs to be taken down discreetly, he explains, his tone serious. He owes me a substantial amount of money. It's time to collect. Atsumu raises an eyebrow, his curiosity piqued. He glances at Bakuto, who wears an eager expression and wiggles his brows, ready for the challenge. Oikoa's eyes flicker between him and Atsumu, a mischievous glint in his gaze and a sly smile playing on his lips. Why Yokohama? Isn't that also Oshijima's territory? And as Atsumu mentioned his name, he once again noticed Kiyumi's absence, wondering where the guy is. Not all of it, Oikoa replies, pushing smoke from his lungs. Just like in Sendai, some districts of Yokohama are independent. I have a few informants there who launder money for me alongside, but these jerks can't be trusted. Oikoa chuckles. Maybe he was threatened by one of Ashiwaka's men, who knows? That would be the worst case because then he probably turned on me. And what's the best case? He just wants to make some extra cash. Oikoa grins mischievously. Either way, if he seriously thought I wouldn't notice, he's just stupid. And I can't have people like him working for me. Alright, Bakuto grins and stretches, flexing his fingers and making them crack. So, then some and I take care of him. Yes. Oikoa nods. It probably won't be that easy, since he has some guards and security systems in his warehouse, but I'm sure you can handle it. There is nothing easier, Bakuto says, turning his gaze to Atsumu. They exchange a determined glance, their excitement building. They may not have worked together before, but they both possess unique skills that can complement each other. Oikoa must have sensed it and therefore wants them to work together. Atsumu doesn't care that Oikoa is actually using him for the first time for something that is strictly in his interest and has nothing to do with finding Osamu. To be honest, he's even happy to have some sort of distraction from all the bullshit. And Bakuto is definitely someone worth spending time with. The plan can't include explosions, fire, or killing any other people than him. Oikoa stares directly at Bakuto. Jesus, do you want it to have unicorns and rainbows or something? Atsumu snorts at that. Yeah, this mission is going to be fun. He truly likes Bakuto. I'm just saying. I know. Bakuto waves a hand to cut his Kumicho off. We'll be careful, alright? Good. Oikoa nods and smiles. Can't have Akashi killing me. Oh, Bakuto chuckles. Me neither. Then he raises a brow. He'll be there too, right? He's in Tokyo with SakuAtsu? Yeah, Oikawa confirms and that piques Atsumu's interest. They stare at each other, and Oikawa gives him a look that tells him not to inquire further for obvious reasons. It doesn't take another second for Atsumu to understand that they are probably in Tokyo because of Kayumi's mother. It's nothing that needs to be discussed in front of the whole crew when in fact, hardly anyone knows about Kayumi's circumstances. Atsumu suspects that besides him, it's just Oikawa, Iwaizumi, and obviously Akashi who know more about the situation than SakuAtsu would ever reveal to anyone else. Bakuto may know too, but even with that, Atsumu isn't too sure. Akashi is discreet, he wouldn't break his professional secrecy, and Bakuto doesn't seem to be the type to push his boyfriend into telling him either. Maybe he doesn't know. So, Atsumu remains silent and lets the two of them continue chatting about the mission, about everything they need to do. To be honest, Atsumu doesn't really pay attention anymore. Bakuto would tell him everything he'll need to know anyway. Instead, Atsumu digs his phone out of his jacket pocket and hunches over his lap, unlocking his screen and opening his messenger app. He knows for sure it would be smarter if he just distanced himself from Kayumi, didn't text him, and if they kept their meetings to the bare minimum. Only for missions, no fooling around. But yeah, fuck that, because Atsumu has never cared what he'd better do or not do. You're in Tokyo? Yes. Akashi wants to check on my mother and see if there's anything he can do. It's exactly what he thought, the confirmation he needed. And somewhere it's also a relief because having Akashi with him means that Kayumi is starting to break away from Ashijima's grasp. Maybe Akashi will manage to help her, or at least get her out of Tokyo and thus reduce Kayumi's dependence on that bastard. And shit, yeah, that's good. It's a step in the right direction. Because Atsumu can't stand to see the way Kayumi lets himself be treated when he would wring others' necks as soon as they step one foot in his personal space. He can't let Ashijima break him. Not in the situation Kayumi is currently in. Especially not now. Did Oikawa already tell you about your mission? Just did. You're going to be in Yokohama. Be careful when you're there. You shouldn't care about me, but I do. Ah, yes. This is the part where Atsumu should end the conversation and avoid Kayumi until further notice. But he's a fool, okay? An obnoxious moron who longs for something that would not make sense in any way. Or you're worried about Miyomi? Don't be ridiculous, Mia. Gotcha. But yeah, do not fret. It's just a normal job. Atsumu can feel Kayumi rolling his eyes. He can't suppress that small grin tugging on his lips. He's well aware that he's managing to get under Kayumi's skin, even if it's just a little bit, and the knowledge amuses him incessantly. Just the idea that he might be slightly unnerving Kayumi brings a mischievous twinkle to Atsumu's eyes. He enjoys the way they can effortlessly rile each other up with mere words. Atsumu knows he's being a bit of a menace, poking at Kayumi's composure, and it's a game he's more than willing to play, even when he knows, at this point, he really shouldn't. But it's a rare occasion when he can crack that calm exterior and expose a hint of vulnerability. Then again, hasn't he done that enough already? Another buzz of his phone draws his eyes back to the screen. Are you heading back to Sendai when you're done? Dunno. Bo will probably stay since Akashi's staying too, but I figured I'm probably gonna take the train back. Why? He wouldn't, would he? No. I'm staying in my apartment in Tokyo. Atsumu blinked at his phone screen, confusion etching across his face. He read the message again, trying to decipher the hidden meaning behind Kayumi's words. Was he inviting Atsumu over? No way in hell. As Oikawa and Bakuto continue discussing mission details, Atsumu's attention remains divided between the conversation in front of him and the messages he's exchanging with Kayumi. He knows he should probably focus on the mission at hand, but the pull of his curiosity for Kayumi's eventual insinuations is stronger. Fancy. Didn't know you got an apartment in Tokyo too. I used to live here, Mia. Duh. Right. Not his smartest move. Yeah, figured. And now what? Wanna have some company? It's closer than going all the way back to Sendai. Atsumu blinked repeatedly. His eyes widened, finally understanding the invitation. A faint blush crept up his cheeks as he realized the implications of Kayumi's offer. And then he couldn't help but chuckle at Kayumi's attempt to indirectly invite him over. Atsumu knew Kayumi well enough to recognize the annoyance hidden beneath his words. It was clear that Kayumi wanted more than just company, but he was too stubborn to ask directly. Atsumu's lips curled into a mischievous smile as he read SakuAtsu's message again. He knew exactly what Kayumi was hinting at, and the thought both amused and intrigued him. It seemed that Kayumi was trying to be subtle, but Atsumu was never one to shy away from a challenge. His grin widened as he read between the lines. Kayumi's attempt to downplay his intentions only fueled Atsumu's ego. His amusement grew too, and he couldn't resist teasing Kayumi a little more. And fuck. He really shouldn't say yes. Gasp. Omi-kun. Are you inviting me over, Mia? If you need anything, Omi, just holler. Seriously. I'm not going to type it out. Just say no if you don't want to. I never said I didn't want to. Wait. Wasn't the plan to distance himself? Atsumu's heart pounds a little harder as he stares at his own last message. The invitation to Kayumi's apartment in Tokyo lingers in the air, tempting and dangerous. Atsumu knows he should say no. He knows they should stay out of each other's ways. But the thing is, Atsumu isn't just dealing with practical suggestions and convenient arrangements. He's not just going to Tokyo for the sake of proximity, no. He's going because a part of him wants to be near Kayumi, to see him, to spend the limited time they have left together. He's always been a risk taker, but this is different. This feels like treading on thin ice, on the edge of something that could shatter the fragile balance he's tried so hard to maintain. And if he keeps going on like this, that's exactly what's going to happen. He'll break. And Kayumi might too. Atsumu sighs and shakes his head. This is stupid. It's idiotic because this between them is nothing. SakuAtsu is simply offering his help. He is, as inconceivable as it may sound, just being nice for once. Atsumu shouldn't get ahead of himself. It's just a practical suggestion. Nothing more, nothing less. Oh, who the hell is he even kidding? With a sigh and a mix of resignation and anticipation, Atsumu's fingers dance over the screen as he responds to Kayumi's message. I'll text you when I'm done. Yes. Atsumu is so, absolutely, 100%, surely, going to be screwed. We've been waiting here for too damn long, Atsumu mutters, his voice low and agitated. He shoots a glance at Bakuto, who huffs in agreement. Yeah, I'm itching to do something, Bakuto replies, his fingers twitching around the binoculars in his grip. I mean, come on. We're here to have some fun. They are waiting. For hours now. Arrived in Yokohama, the duo navigated through dimly lit alleys, following the trail of information provided by Oikawa. Their steps were cautious, their senses heightened as they approached the location where the henchmen are rumored to be hiding. The city became their playground as they blended into the bustling and vibrant streets. Atsumu's keen eye for detail and Bakuto's boundless energy complement each other perfectly. They moved with purpose, their senses sharp as they gathered all further necessary information about their target's whereabouts. The mission was simple enough: infiltrate the warehouse, take down the snitch, and get out. But the excessive number of security guards lurking around the premises had turned it into a tedious waiting game. As they reached the designated spot, Atsumu and Bakuto indeed discovered the numerous guards just like Oikawa had already predicted. It forced them to wait until at least some of them left the place and to come up with a plan to avoid the surveillance system. So now they are sitting on the rooftop of a nearby building, with Bakuto observing the situation through a pair of binoculars, his energy practically crackling with impatience, and Atsumu lying bored next to him, feet dangling over the wall at a dizzying height. His fingers drum restlessly against the sheath of Osamu's knife while his other arm is angled supportively beneath his head. Atsumu lets out a frustrated sigh and stares at the sky cloaked in a warm mixture of orange and red. If there's one thing he hates, it's waiting. We can't kill anyone else. Bakuto mutters, his tone heavy with annoyance. From everything Atsumu has heard about Bakuto, he knows that the guy usually handles his missions completely differently. Bakuto isn't exactly known for quietly sneaking in somewhere or overthinking his every move. Atsumu is aware that this right now frustrates him at least as much. Ugh, screw it. Atsumu clicks his tongue and swings himself up to sit, feet still hanging over the edge. Let's just blow it up and call it a day, he suggests, his impatience getting the better of him. Bakuto's eyebrows shoot up. He lowers the binoculars and stares at Atsumu with a mix of surprise and amusement. I recall Oikawa telling us to keep a low profile. Atsumu rolls his eyes. Well yeah, and I tend to forget useless shit. Bakuto chuckles, teeth gleaming. Do you also tend to forget the rules? Yeah, like I said. Atsumu cracks a smile, too. Useless shit. Bakuto laughs at that, hearty and boisterous, a deep rumbling sound that conveys his amusement without words. It broadens Atsumu's smile and relaxes the mood immensely. Alright, Bakuto begins and tucks away his binoculars. There's a basement that seems unguarded. I suggest we split up. You sneak in and go down to disconnect the surveillance system while I follow close behind and take care of our rip-off. Atsumu whines playfully. And leave all the fun to you alone? Come on, Bokken. Hey, Bakuto intervenes, his tone light but earnest. If I am to play an assassin, I can guarantee nothing. He crouches down and pulls out his light machine gun from the bag he has been carrying on his back all day, a Skane MG38, sliding the ammunition of probably 75 bullets straight into it. God, Bakuto is really anything but a normal guy. Atsumu chuckles. Alright, gotcha, he says, waving him off. He's going to attract all the attention anyway if he's going to march in with that thing. Atsumu stifles a laugh at the thought that Oikawa has told them to be discreet, and Bakuto really intends to be anything but that. But hey, after all, they're both here for some fun, right? With their weapons in their hands, they sneak away from the building and approach the warehouse. The sun has already set, dusk has fallen. The tension in the air is palpable as they make their way through dimly lit corridors, their footsteps silent and calculated. On their way to the warehouse, Atsumu raises an eyebrow and stares at Bakuto's gun. He can't help but smile as he quips, you know, Bokken, some might say carrying that thing around is the exact opposite of keeping a low profile. Well, Ɓƙuto grins back at him, the playful glint in his eyes matching Atsumu's mischievousness. I recall a wise man saying rules are useless shit. Sometimes you just gotta bring out the big guns and have a blast. Atsumu chuckles, shaking his head. MMHH. Can't argue with that logic. They navigate the hallways with practiced ease, moving in tandem. Atsumu can feel the tension in the air, the excitement building as they approached their objective. The warehouse is close, and with Ɓƙuto by his side, Atsumu's confidence soars. Holding up a hand, Ɓƙuto signals them to stop. He gestures towards a door ahead, his eyes narrowing with determination. Atsumu nods in agreement, and they position themselves on either side of the door, ready to breach. They check the surroundings and enter when they are sure no one will notice them. Ɓƙuto gestures for Atsumu to go first and the latter smirks, giving him a mock salute and making Ɓƙuto chuckle a little bit. Navigating through the maze-like interior of the warehouse, they stick to the shadows and avoid any confrontation. They split up once they finally reached the entrance to the basement. Ɓƙuto gives Atsumu another nod, signaling to him they are both safe to go. Both turn on their earpieces. Atsumu slips into the basement. His movements are calculated and silent. The dim lighting casts elongated shadows along the walls, and Atsumu's senses are sharpened as he moves further into the depths of the building. His eyes scan for any signs of security systems, his fingers deftly working to disable them. Minutes stretch into what feels like hours as Atsumu focused on his task. The silence is interrupted only by the soft hum of machinery. After what seems like an eternity, Atsumu finally manages to disable the last security device. He straightens, a satisfied smile playing on his lips. Now, it's time for Ɓƙuto to do his thing. Atsumu gives him the green light through his earpiece. Shortly after, he hears a faint noise coming from one of the hallways leading deeper into the basement. He tenses, his instincts kicking in. Atsumu turns towards the sound, his hand moving towards Osamu's knife. From the shadows emerges a figure, his presence oozing a mixture of unpredictability and intrigue. His grin is unsettling, displaying amusement and something darker. He chuckles and it's sending shivers down Atsumu's spine. Now look who I stumbled upon, he begins and Atsumu's body is tense. If that isn't Mia Atsumu. Atsumu frowns. And who are you? The man before him is tall. His irises are small and dark red, the ends of his mouth curve into a slight smirk. What catches Atsumu's attention is his spiky, bright red hair and the fucking tanto in his hand, a double-edged dagger. Ah, shit. Looks like Atsumu actually needs to watch out. Oh. You don't know me. I'm the guess monster. The man chuckles, his laughter echoing softly in the dim space. Then he adds, his voice getting lower, threatening. But you can also call me Tendo Satori. Tendo. Atsumu's grip on the knife tightens, his eyes narrowing. Sweet. How come you know me? As Tendo's gaze bore into him, Atsumu couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter holds more significance than he can comprehend. The air is charged with tension, and Atsumu knows he's about to face more than just another obstacle. You know, I was just taking a little stroll, was told I should keep an eye on you since you really pissed off my boss. Atsumu's heart pounds in his chest, his brow furrowing with every word Tendo is uttering. He told me about you, and I gotta admit, you really have some balls messing with him. The fuck are you talking about? Tendo chuckles, plays with the dagger in his hand. With a deep breath, Atsumu readied himself for whatever challenge Tendo would throw his way. The mission isn't over yet, and he is determined to see it through to the end. Has it ever occurred to you whose territory you're on? Tendo's eyes flash, Atsumu's widen. Kahokuku is independent. But everything around Yokohama isn't, and our miracle boy isn't exactly amused to see you here, so he gave me a little permission. A bang rings out from above and in the next blink of an eye, Tendo is standing next to him, his lips next to Atsumu's ear. Shit, why is this guy so fast? I get to play with you until I get bored, or you die. Isn't that great? The punch comes so fast that Atsumu almost fails to block it. Tendo's fist crashes into Atsumu's palm, throwing him back a few feet, but not knocking him over. Tendo's grin is sick. Atsumu's heart pounds fast as he stumbles back from the force of Tendo's blow, his grip on Osamu's knife steady in his hand. His mind races, analyzing the situation, trying to anticipate Tendo's next move. His agility catches him off guard, and Atsumu realizes he's up against a formidable opponent. The adrenaline courses through his veins, sharpening his senses. Watch out, Atsumu. Tendo's chuckle reverberates in the air, a chilling contrast to the tense atmosphere. Atsumu narrows his eyes, his body coiled like a spring, ready to react. He can't afford to underestimate Tendo, not when the man's presence alone exudes danger. Tendo straightens, his tanto glinting in the dim light. You know, I already figured I cause rookies for a bunch of aggravating little snots, but you really take the cake. Atsumu's lips curl into a defiant grin. Ain't I cause rookie? I know, Tendo smirks. You're from Inarizaki and that's even worse. Without a warning, Tendo lunges forward, the blade of his tanto aimed at Atsumu's chest. Atsumu's instincts kick in, and he sidesteps the attack with swift finesse. The tanto slashes through the air, missing him by a hair's breadth. Atsumu counters with a swift jab from Osamu's knife, aiming for Tendo's side. The latter deflects the blow effortlessly, his movements fluid and calculated. They circle each other, the tension is palpable. Atsumu knows he's facing an opponent with skill and experience, someone who won't be easy to defeat. Tendo's grin widens, his eyes alight with excitement. You're too slow, Tendo muses. Blocking is all about reading and your sense of smell. Don't need to block when I can hit. Atsumu's chest heaves and Tendo chuckles again. Jump towards the direction that smells like satisfaction. Tendo lunges again. Atsumu's eyes widen. Maybe then you will hit. Atsumu reacts with a rapid series of parries and dodges. The clash of metal rings out in the confined space, their blades striking and deflecting with precision. Atsumu's mind races, analyzing Tendo's movements, trying to find an opening. He hates fighting such opponents solely using knives, even more so if it's one with a curved blade like Osamu's. His twin has always been better at close combat. After all, there's a reason why Atsumu keeps his opponents at least somewhat at a distance with the long blade of his katana. But fuck, there's no time for sulking now. He adapts on the fly, his years of training kicking in. Tendo's attacks are relentless, his movements unpredictable. Atsumu's heart pounds as he narrowly avoids each strike. He can't afford to make a mistake. He feints with a low strike, then swiftly changes direction, aiming for Tendo's shoulder. Tendo anticipates the move, and the two blades clash with a resounding clash. Their eyes lock for a split second, a silent exchange of determination. Atsumu's palms are slick with sweat, his muscles tense. He pushes against Tendo with all his strength, their blades locked in a fierce struggle. Not good. This is fucking bad. Because Tendo's strength is formidable. With a sudden surge, he breaks free of Atsumu's hold, using his elbow to shove Atsumu back. Atsumu stumbles, his balance momentarily compromised. It's the opening Tendo needs. Tendo's Tanto strikes with blinding speed, Atsumu barely managing to twist his body and avoid a direct hit. But the blade grazes his left palm, a searing pain shooting through him as blood wells up from the shallow cut. Atsumu grits his teeth, the pain feeling different than just a simple slice. But why see? Tendo stands still for a moment. Dodging isn't about avoiding the strike. It's about spiking their hit back at them. Before Tendo can press his advantage, a powerful voice echoes through the basement. Atsumu, we need to vanish. The words snap Atsumu back to reality, and he darts his gaze toward the source of the voice. 𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 stands at the entrance of the hallway, his presence commanding and urgent. Tendo's attention wavers for a split second, giving Atsumu enough time to pull himself back together. Well, seems like our playtime is over, for now. Tendo's laughter fills the air, a mix of amusement and frustration. How's that line go again? If you wanna beat Wakatoshi-kun, gotta go through me first. MK. The tension in the air is thick as Tendo's words hang there, a veiled threat that lingers. Atsumu's frown deepens, his grip on Osamu's knife tightening. He's not one to back down, especially in the face of intimidation. But he knows that for now, retreating is the wisest choice. 𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔's voice slices through the tension again, urgent and insistent. Hey, Atsumu. Atsumu's gaze flicks back to 𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔, and he nods in acknowledgement although he knows he can't see him. Without another word, Atsumu takes a step back, putting some distance between himself and Tendo. His palm stings, the pain a stark reminder of the close encounter. But he can't dwell on it now. Mia, Tendo says, his voice trailing after him as he retreats. If you ever show your face in one of Wakatoshi-kun's territories again, you'll end up 6 feet under. Atsumu's jaw clenches, frustration simmering within him. Bastard. With a last lingering gaze at Tendo, Atsumu turns on his heels and hurries after 𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔. The sounds of his footsteps echo through the corridor, the tension slowly dissipating as he puts more distance between himself and his encounter with Tendo. As they make their way out of the warehouse and into the cool night air, Atsumu's heart still races from the adrenaline of the fight. He can't shake the feeling that this encounter was only the beginning of a much larger challenge, one that will test his skills and maybe even his life. One of Ashijima's men. Oh, how he hates all that scum. 𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 and Atsumu find a secluded spot near the warehouse's entrance, away from prying eyes. The dim light from a nearby street lamp casts a soft glow over their makeshift resting place. Atsumu sits down on an overturned crate, his injured palm cradled carefully against his chest. Atsumu breathes slowly and deeply through chattering teeth. For some inexplicable reason, he's incredibly cold and the cool air outside isn't exactly helping him warm up. Atsumu leans over, pressing his elbow into his knee and the fingers of his uninjured hand into his temple. His muscles ache. His palm burns. And he keeps on breathing that cold air, no matter how much it makes his lungs burn. 𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 kneels in front of him, concern etching his features. Hey, Atsumu, let me take a look at that, 𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 says gently, his voice laced with worry. Atsumu hesitates for a moment before slowly revealing his injured hand. The cut on his palm isn't deep, but it's bleeding steadily and for some reason, he starts to feel dizzy. Closing his eyes, Atsumu grits his teeth against the wave of nausea. Fuck, he thinks. What the hell is going on? 𝒂𝒄𝒏𝒈 reaches into a small medical kit he had brought along and retrieves some sterile gauze and adhesive bandages. Good thing KG always forces these on me, 𝒂𝒄𝒏𝒈 quips with a reassuring grin. He begins to clean the wound with a gentle touch, his fingers deftly working to stop the bleeding. Atsumu winces slightly at the sting, but he appreciates 𒂂𝒄𝒏𝒈's care. His gaze lifts from Atsumu's palm to meet his golden eyes. Are you okay, Atsumu? Seemed like it was pretty dangerous back there. Atsumu manages a small nod, though a lingering unease tugs at his thoughts. Yeah, I'm fine. Just a scratch. 𒂂𝒄𝒏𝒈 finishes applying the bandage and leans back, studying Atsumu's expression. You sure? You seem a bit off. Atsumu forces a smile. I'm just tired, Bokken. Long day, you know. 𒂂𝒄𝒏𝒈 doesn't seem entirely convinced, but he doesn't press further. Instead, he sighs and runs a hand through his hair. Well, we should head back. You think you can make it to Sendai on your own? Or do you want me to? Atsumu waves him off, trying to sound nonchalant. Yeah, don't worry about me. I'll be fine. You go enjoy your night. 𒂂𝒄𝒏𝒈 stands up, looking torn between wanting to stay and making sure Atsumu is alright. You sure, Atsumu? Atsumu nods, offering a reassuring grin. Yeah, I promise. Go have fun with KG-kun. 𒂂𝒄𝒏𝒈 hesitates another moment but then nods. As he says his goodbyes and leaves the place, Atsumu's heart sinks a little. Just as he begins to let his guard down, his phone buzzes in his pocket. He pulls it out, his heart skipping a beat when he sees a message from Kyumi. He sent him his address, and Atsumu's mind raced. He knows this is wrong, on so many levels. Ashijima's territory, Tendo's threat, their shared past. But something about Kyumi draws him in, something about him won't let him escape. I shouldn't go. I really shouldn't go. As if he will ever have a chance. Cursing internally, Atsumu pushes the conflicting emotions aside and stands up. He casts a quick glance toward the direction 𒂂𝒄𝒏𝒈 went, his resolve hardening. Maybe this is a mistake. Maybe he's playing with fire, but right now, he can't ignore the pull, and shit does he need Kyumi right now. He needs his arms around him. He needs to kiss him. He wants to forget all of this. And Kyumi is the only one with whom he can do that. With a determined exhale, Atsumu heads in the opposite direction, his steps taking him toward a destination that he knows he shouldn't be seeking. By the time Atsumu arrives at Kyumi's place, he doesn't feel any better. If anything, the cold seems to have seeped into his bones, leaving him shivering and unsettled. He hesitates for a moment outside the door, his hand poised to knock, before steeling himself and rapping his knuckles against the wood. The door swings open, revealing Kyumi on the other side. It's the first time, apart from the days they spent in Inarizaki, that he's dressed in rather casual clothes. Sweatpants and a sweatshirt jacket, as if he hadn't been playing Yakuza all day. Props to him. Atsumu would like to make a snarky comment, but he feels too shitty to tease Kyumi. Instead, Kyumi's brows furrow in surprise as his eyes take in Atsumu's appearance. Atsumu isn't exactly in the best state. His usually vibrant golden eyes are dull, and the pallor of his usual tanned skin is a stark contrast to the dark circles under his eyes. Kyumi's lips twitch into a bemused smile as he leans against the doorframe, crossing his arms over his chest. Well, you look worse than I expected for a normal job. Atsumu manages a weak grin, though it doesn't quite reach his eyes. You know me, always gotta make an entrance. Kyumi's gaze shifts to the reddened bandage around Atsumu's wrist. He nods at it and his expression turns more concerned. His tone softens. What happened? Atsumu waves his uninjured hand dismissively. Hey, just a weak moment. Nothing serious. Kyumi's eyes hold doubt and something else that Atsumu can't quite pinpoint, but he doesn't press further. Instead, he steps aside, inviting Atsumu inside. Come in. I've set out some clean clothes for you in the bathroom. Shower, change, and I'll take care of your clothes. Atsumu nods silently and steps past Kyumi into the apartment. It looks filthy rich, and it's dimly lit, but the warmth of the space is a welcoming sensation compared to the chill he had been feeling outside. Atsumu stifles a mocking comment about the apartment or Kyumi wanting him to shower or him washing his clothes. Honestly, he's too worn out for that. Instead, he swallows. Fresh guilt claws at him from the inside once he's actually in front of Sakusa. He withholds things from him that he definitely should know, but Atsumu is too scared of the consequences. His emotions are still twisted in a tangled mess. He knows he shouldn't be here, that he's risking too much by seeking solace in Kyumi. But at this moment, all he wants is a distraction, a way to escape the weight of his own thoughts. Atsumu's gaze lingers on Kyumi's face, and he can't help but is torn between feelings of desire and uncertainty. He needs Kyumi's touch, his presence, to temporarily drown out the chaos that's threatening to consume him. With a deep breath, Atsumu forces himself to focus. Actually, I could really use that shower right now. Kyumi nods toward the bathroom. His look is still worried. It's to your right. Thanks, Atsumu mutters, his voice almost a whisper. He can't say more, doesn't want to express the storm of emotions inside him. So, the words remain trapped. Let me know when you're done. I'll wait in the living room. Atsumu gives him another nod in response, his eyes averted. Fuck. He feels awful. He follows Kyumi's directions to the bathroom and takes a moment to glance at himself in the mirror. He looks worn out. His hair is disheveled, his eyes tired, and there's something else lingering beneath the surface that he can't quite place. He quickly sheds his clothes and steps into the shower, the warm water cascading over his tired muscles. He scrubs his skin raw, trying to get rid of the ache in his bones, and lets his body warm up. It's a brief reprieve from the chaos that's been swirling within him. As he steps out of the shower, the floor suddenly jerks beneath him. Atsumu stumbles and smacks his palms against the sink in front of him, sending another stinging pain right through his veins when he reopened his wound. Atsumu contorts his face but stifles the pained groan in his throat. What the? He mutters and frowns. Atsumu crouches down but remains his hands on the edge of the sink to support himself and takes a few breaths. Then, he slowly straightens up again. The floor is still uneven, so he keeps his uninjured hand on the sink. Atsumu does his best and towels off. He dresses in the spare clothes Kyumi had laid out. Gray sweatpants and a loose black shirt. Definitely too big for him, but it's not like he plans to keep them on anyway. He also renews the bandage wrapped around his palm and does a sloppy job, to be honest, but it's hard to concentrate when he's this drowsy. He wipes his blood off the sink and makes sure to leave everything neatly behind. When Atsumu finally emerges from the bathroom, he takes one cautious step after another. The imbalance becomes dizziness. The dizziness becomes nausea and shit. That's not exactly what he's planned for the night with Kyumi. Then a sharp sting spreads from his hand up his arm and Atsumu gulps. That's not muscle pain. That doesn't feel like a simple cut. Atsumu closes his eyes and takes another deep breath. That's not good. Atsumu's heart speeds up as he stands in the hallway, a hand settled on the wall to guide himself to the living room. He slowly opens his eyes, struggling to focus them as he makes his way to Kyumi. Atsumu shuffles across the floor, keeping his arms out for balance, and reaches the living room. Kyumi spots him, stands up, and approaches him. When Atsumu is about to enter that stupidly rich living room, the floor picks just that moment to shift beneath his feet. Kyumi catches him before he even knows he was going down. Holy shit, are you alright? Yeah, I'm not. Not at all. This is bad. This is so fucking bad. I need to sit. I think you need to lie down, actually. Kyumi guides him to his bed and oh god, yes, that helps. Being flat on his back, without worrying about staying up, that definitely helps. But the ache doesn't quit. Instead, it's getting worse. What's wrong? Kyumi asks and Atsumu sighs. He wipes an unsteady hand over his face and realizes he can't fake his way out of here anyway, so he might as well tell him. Got into a fight with that guy, red, spiky hair, Tendo? Kyumi asks horrified. Yeah, that Atsumu slurs. That's the name. He caught me with his tanto and, somehow this damn bleeding won't stop and. Kyumi flies to his feet. I'm calling a doctor. No. Atsumu sits up, immediately regretting it. The world shifts out from under him again, but bless him because strong arms stop him before he tumbles off the bed. Kyumi eases him back down to the mattress. His brows are pinched together in worry. Atsumu, you need to. No. Atsumu interrupts, then swallows. Can't go to a hospital. Their eyes lock. Kyumi seem filled with a million unspoken questions. Apparently, however, he quickly grasps what Atsumu's reasons are. A Shijima can't find out that he's here. I'll be okay. Atsumu lies. Okay in heaven maybe, or in hell. God, I am so fucked. So fucked. But then Kyumi cups Atsumu's face and looks him in the eyes and shit. Atsumu's heart quivers. I'll call Akashi. Atsumu frowns. But then he finds out I'm here with you and. Atsumu. Kyumi interrupts him, and Atsumu's mouth snaps shut. Do you trust me? I shouldn't trust you and you shouldn't trust me. Fuck. Kyumi, what am I even doing here? Yeah. Atsumu swallows. Yeah, of course. I do. Then let me make this call. Atsumu holds his gaze, searching for anything in Kyumi's eyes that would tell him he's not doing this out of worry. That he's not doing this because he's concerned about Atsumu's life. That he's only doing this because he can't have him die when Oikawa still needs him. Atsumu is looking for something that will assure him Kyumi is doing this not because of any feelings. Then he swallows, nods slowly, and whispers, okay. Kyumi helps him back onto the pillows and Atsumu closes his eyes. The world is still rocking and rolling, not helping the nausea in the slightest. Kyumi is nearby but his voice sounds a million miles away. Akashi, he says worriedly. I think Atsumu was poisoned. I need your help. Fast. Atsumu-san, Akashi says. I'm going to start an IV and give you some isotonic fluid to keep you hydrated. It is also mixed with an antidote that should purify your blood. How? Atsumu rasps. How do ya know it's poison? And which one it is? Kyumi described your symptoms to me and pulled your old bandages out of the trash so I could quickly analyze them here for remnants of the poison. But Kyuto also told me what was going on, so it was pretty obvious to me. Akashi's lips curl into a flat smile. You're lucky. If you had gone back to Sendai, your heart would have cramped halfway back. Fuck. Akashi hums and uncaps a needle. Atsumu's eyes go wide. Nah, he shakes his head and contemplates rather to die. There's no way in hell you're gonna put that thing in me. Atsumu-san. No. You won't even notice it. The hell will I? Atsumu. Sakusa touches his face and Atsumu's panicked eyes flit up to him. He caresses Atsumu's cheekbone and stares at him fondly. Atsumu's heart trips. This traitor. And for a moment nothing else but Kyumi exists. And then the needle is pressed into Atsumu's arm and Atsumu winces slightly. Akashi was quick. In seconds, everything was in place, and he tethered the bag to the top of the bedside lamp. He also cleaned and patched up Atsumu's wounds, putting a proper bandage around his palm to stop the bleeding. He checks Atsumu over, listening to his chest and taking his blood pressure. All the while, Kyumi stays out of the way, watching them silently like a hawk. Akashi drapes his stethoscope around his neck and runs through a battery of questions, mostly asking about Atsumu's symptoms. Occasionally, he throws in questions about what day it is, where he is, and what his name is. Have you had any paralysis? Numbness? Atsumu shakes his head. Balance is fucked, but nah, nothing like that. Good. Akashi nods. What's your mother's name? Atsumu's expression darkens and Akashi stiffens a little. Where are you right now? Tokyo. Omi's apartment. Wondering why the fuck you wanna know about my mum. Well, you're obviously not confused, then. Akashi stands up. I'm going to talk to Sakusa-san and explain everything to him. You might fall asleep from exhaustion soon, so you probably won't be able to remember everything. Just try to relax for now. Atsumu glares at him but doesn't speak. He sighs and nods then, sliding his eyes shut for a second and breathing slowly. He watches Akashi getting up and approaching Kyumi on the other side of the room. How is he? Kyumi asks. Well, don't ask about his mother. Kyumi purses his lips and Atsumu stifles a smirk. I mean, his condition. I know. And it's good you called me when you did. Akashi puts his things back into the bag. The treatment along with the IV should help. Checked his injured arm every now and then for stains, but as long as his symptoms don't worsen, he should improve. And if they do? Akashi glances at Kyumi. Then he needs to go to a hospital. Kyumi scowls but Akashi shoots him a pointed look. You know Tendo's poisons can be unpredictable, and I don't have my materials here to analyze them sufficiently. However, a hospital does have them. Kyumi shifts his weight and crosses his arms in front of his chest. Just tell me honestly, should I bring him to the hospital right now? Yes or no? He is lucky the cut wasn't deep. Akashi sighs. He's fine for now, and as I said, if he doesn't get any worse, he should be okay. Just keep a close eye on him. Of course. Kyumi uncrosses his arms. Concern remains chiseled on his face. For how long? Judging by his condition now, I'd say the next 3 to 4 hours are critical. Be safe and stay with him for at least 12. Okay. Kyumi nods. I'll stay with him as long as I can. Good. Akashi glances around the room. At Atsumu. At Kyumi. And then his eyebrows pinch together, and the question is unmistakable. Kyumi swallows. Akashi. I won't ask. And yes, this stays between us. But Kyuto won't spill the beans either, don't worry. Thanks, Kyumi says, and then they walk out of his bedroom. Besides Oikawa, and probably Iwaizumi, no one knew about the thing going on between Atsumu and Kyumi. So Kyumi's insistence on confidentiality is not surprising, and they both know how much Akashi can be trusted. Atsumu hears them talking in the distance, but their words remain indistinct to him. So, he decides to close his eyes again and take deep and long breaths, trying to relax. He hears the click of the door and not a minute later Kyumi is sitting beside him at the edge of his bed. Atsumu slowly opens his eyes and surrenders to his captivating gaze, onyx orb swallowing him up. How are you? Atsumu shivers, maybe because of Kyumi, maybe because of the poison in his veins. I'm okay, a little cold but it's F. Atsumu doesn't manage to finish the sentence because Kyumi is already taking off his black sweatshirt jacket and throwing it around Atsumu's shoulders. The latter blushes, his heart beats fast, Kyumi's warmth immediately doing him good. Ah, shit. Thanks, Atsumu mumbles and averts his gaze. Now, in fact, heat rises in his head. His heart beats a little too fast. Kyumi's presence beside him is a comforting weight, but Atsumu can't stop feeling these twisted emotions swirling within him. He's torn between the desire to keep Kyumi at arm's length and the undeniable attraction that pulls him closer. It's a prohibited game. Even more so ever since he found out what connects them. Atsumu shifts slightly to get comfortable, the jacket neatly draped around him. The fabric carries Kyumi's scent and it's making Atsumu's head spin blissfully and his stomach twist. The gesture is simple, but the effect is huge. He wraps the jacket tighter around his shoulders, welcoming the warmth that emanates from it when he knows he shouldn't read too much into it. They're nothing. They should be nothing. Sooner or later this between them will end. Must end. Feeling a little better now? Kyumi's voice is soft, his eyes studying Atsumu's face for any sign of improvement. Atsumu nods, a small smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Yeah, it's better. Yeah, jacket's like a warm hug. Kayumi chuckles slightly, and Atsumu can't help but notice the way his lips curve, notice the crinkles at the corners of his eyes. It's a rare sight, Kayumi showing a hint of amusement. Atsumu finds himself drawn to it. His heart skips multiple beats the longer he stares, and he quickly averts his gaze to hide the blush that's creeping up his cheeks again. Why does Kayumi always have to be so damn distracting? Atsumu fidgets slightly with the hem of the jacket, his fingers tracing the fabric absent-mindedly. Kayumi's lips twitch into a small smile, and for a moment, their eyes meet. There's a warmth there, something that goes beyond everything Atsumu has ever experienced, and he finds himself getting lost in that gaze, the intensity of it making his heart race. So, that tattoo on your arm. Atsumu clears his throat, hoping to break the spell Kayumi seems to weave over him. Does it have a special meaning? Kayumi's gaze remains locked on Atsumu, his expression thoughtful. He shifts his position, sitting more comfortably on the edge of the bed. Then, he nods. Yeah, it does. Atsumu's curiosity peaks, and he props himself up to sit straighter, careful not to aggravate his injury. Mind telling me about it? Kayumi stares at him for a moment. Then, he averts his gaze to his fingers absent-mindedly tracing the fabric of the sheets as he speaks. The dragon represents a lot of things for me. Struggle with myself. Personal growth. A reminder that life can be unpredictable, just like the flames that birthed it. Atsumu listens intently, his gaze flickering between Kayumi's face and the tattoo he's describing. The chrysanthemums, though. Kayumi's voice takes on a softer tone, and his gaze seems to lose focus for a moment. Then he snaps it up to meet golden eyes and Atsumu shivers. The white ones symbolize death. It's a constant reminder of my family, of what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. Atsumu's heart aches at the depth of Kayumi's words. He can sense the weight of his past, the burden he carries with every petal of that tattoo. Kayumi has never had it easy, and Atsumu made it even harder for him. And the purple ones? Atsumu prompts gently, pushing his thoughts aside and sensing that there's more to the story. Kayumi's lips curve into a wistful smile. The purple ones represent proximity and faithfulness. They remind me of the people who are close to me, who have stood by me, my friends who are like my second family, and they especially remind me of my cousin, Kayumi says holding Atsumu's gaze. Then, he reveals, Motoa. Komori Motoa is his name, by the way. Atsumu's brows knit together. He feels a stab through his heart, and again the actual reason remains hidden, maybe because of Kayumi, maybe because of the poison. He can't tell. Or rather, he doesn't want to. Kayumi smiles faintly, a fond glint swells in his eyes. He's been there through everything and was always supporting me. We've faced our own battles, but we've always had each other's backs. Oh, and it stings. Atsumu's heart aches at the sincerity in Kayumi's voice. It's a side of him he's hardly seen before, vulnerable, open. Atsumu can never let Kayumi know that he's responsible for Komori's coma. He can never let him know that the contract for killing him still stands and that either Komori or Atsumu himself will pay with their lives. Atsumu takes a deep breath and closes his eyes. Where's your cousin now? If he locates where Komori is staying, he can avoid coming anywhere near him. As long as he doesn't see him, he doesn't have to kill him. He can keep out of his way. Because if he kills him, he loses Kayumi in ways he could never forgive himself for. Atsumu knows they will eventually take different paths. But when they do, he wants to make sure Kayumi can still look him in the eyes. Atsumu's stomach twists. A different kind of nausea is kicking in. Kayumi's expression turns into a frown as he pauses briefly before relenting. At Iko's headquarters. Atsumu gulps. Next to his office on the top floor is a decent apartment that he has provided for him. Akashi and his medical team live just one floor below, which enables them to monitor him nearly constantly. Atsumu's heart races. He tries not to show how screwed he is. When we were still in Tachiyama, he usually handled our contracts and made sure nothing was wrong with them. We then mostly went off together to eliminate our targets. You could trust him blindly. Yeah. Kayumi sighs and averts his gaze to his own fingers. I just wish he'd wake up. Atsumu swallows thickly and doesn't comment further. Kayumi remains silent for a few seconds, too. Then he lifts his head and locks his gaze with Atsumu again. I meant it when I said you two would get along well. With him on your team, you might even have a chance against me. What? Atsumu scoffs, a small impish smile matching that of Kayumi. You think I alone can't take you down? Like this? Kayumi's smile widens. Definitely not. And there's a lightness between them that shouldn't be there. A strange feeling in Atsumu's heart that needs to go away. Because Atsumu is falling. He doesn't know how long or how deep, but he is falling. And once he crashes with reality, he is going to regret ever getting involved with this. Because he knows where this is going to end. He knows this doesn't make sense. He knows he's going to break. And he knows Kayumi might too. But he can't stop. They can't stop. Sounds like you have a great bond with him, Atsumu says softly. Kayumi's gaze meets Atsumu's, and for a moment, it's as if the air between them crackles with unspoken emotions. Yeah, we do. He's important to me. Of course, he is. Atsumu's pulse quickens as the intensity of the moment hangs in the air. He wants to say something, to share his own vulnerabilities, reveal his secrets, but the words stick in his throat. Instead, he finds himself drawn to Kayumi's gaze, his heart pounding erratically, so strong that it hurts. The silence stretches between them, both of them lost in their thoughts, in the connection that seems to have formed between them. Atsumu's fingers keep playing with the edge of the jacket, his mind a whirlwind of emotions. He'll never be able to tell him. Atsumu breaks the silence, his voice low. I'm sorry. You asked me to come over tonight for something a lot more enjoyable than. I just wanted to see you. You shouldn't. Not like this. I'm not complaining. I am. Atsumu shifts. This is bullshit. Hey. Kayumi's gaze softens, and he reaches out, his fingers gently grazing Atsumu's uninjured hand. I'm just glad you're here. Alive. Atsumu's eyes are big, his gaze a little startled. Don't say that. What are you gonna do when Komori wakes up? Will you stay with Oikoa? Because Atsumu needs to know. Kayumi shrugs his shoulders. Depends on what Motoya wants. He's always been someone who prefers to be independent. Atsumu smiles faintly, then mumbles absently. Ah, sounds a lot like Samu. Kayumi squeezes his hand and it's weirdly intimate. All of this. What about you? Atsumu cocks his head. What about me? What are you going to do when you get your brother back? Atsumu studies Kayumi, hesitation lingering in his eyes. But then he relaxes a little and offers another faint smile. We were planning to go to Osaka. Whenever Samu will be ready, he was gonna open a restaurant, and Atsumu's grin widens. I'll probably move around the streets and do whatever I want. Kayumi's smile grows, and his fingers tighten slightly around Atsumu's hand, as if not wanting to let him go either. Then he says, his voice gentle, yeah, that sounds like you. And at that moment, as their hands intertwine and their gazes lock, Atsumu feels a warmth spreading within him, a warmth that has nothing to do with the jacket he's wearing and everything to do with the connection he's forming with Kayumi. He pulls Atsumu in, makes him feel things like no one ever has before. It's addictive, dangerous. Hey, Atsumu says, his voice soft. Blame it on my drowsiness, but I always enjoyed working with you, Omi-kun. With Hinata and Bokken too. I think the four of us would make a cool team. Getting sentimental now, Kayumi chuckles. No worries, Atsumu, you're not going to die. I won't let you. Another stab in Atsumu's heart. MSBY, Hinata came up with that name, Atsumu says, his gaze lifting to meet Kayumi's gleaming eyes. He cocks a brow and stares at Atsumu expectantly. Atsumu continues, we'd prowl around like wild foxes. Kayumi's lips curl into a soft smile, giving Atsumu a look. Atsumu's grin widens and Kayumi can't help but chuckle, shaking his head. Black jackals, he says then and catches Atsumu's attention. That would fit better. It does. The silence hangs in the air for a moment longer, a comfortable stillness between them. Atsumu can feel his heart beating in his chest and tries to steady himself, to tamp down the feelings that threaten to overwhelm him. Thanks. Atsumu breaks the silence once again, holding Kayumi's gaze. For giving a shit. And there's something in Kayumi's eyes that Atsumu can't decipher. Something so loving and real that Atsumu wants to drown in. Kayumi doesn't reply but smooths Atsumu's hair. His eyes are unreadable. But then Kayumi leans in and cradles Atsumu's neck, drawing him into a soft kiss. Goosebumps prickle on Atsumu's neck. His skin is hot where Kayumi is touching him. His cheeks flush in a soft red and Kayumi's lips are everything Atsumu needs to start living. This kiss is all he needs. It's enough. More than enough. A tender reassurance that yes, Atsumu is okay and yes, Kayumi really cares. When Kayumi breaks the kiss and lifts his head, their eyes meet. Atsumu's injured hand slides off his neck, but Kayumi doesn't pull away. Atsumu holds Kayumi's gaze, his heart thumps and his lips tingle and Atsumu wants more. Kayumi's hand still holds onto Atsumu's, their fingers entwined in a gentle grip that sends a rush of warmth through Atsumu's veins. He gazes at Kayumi, feeling the walls he's built around himself start to crumble, piece by piece. It's terrifying and exhilarating all at once. And just as the silence settles between them once more, the room is interrupted by the buzzing of Atsumu's phone. They both startle, breaking their connection as Atsumu fumbles to grab the phone from the nearby table. Atsumu swallows thickly, then internally curses whoever dares to interrupt them. His eyes widen, however, holding the screen up to his face. It's Suna, Atsumu says, his voice tinged with urgency as he swipes to accept the call. Suna-in? Kayumi watches Atsumu intently, concern evident in his eyes. Atsumu listens to Suna's voice on the other end of the line, his heart dropping with the following words. Tsumu, Suna says. I found Osamu.